We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're a minute behind, so sorry. We all take a moment to adopt the agenda.
I will move to adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. We can move on to the minutes. We have two sets of minutes to approve. April 9th, 2025 minutes. Go with those first.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, move on to the April 30th special meeting. Not special meeting, but, well, yeah, special meeting to ratify the election results.
Motion to approve the minutes from the April 30th meeting.
Okay,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, is there anybody who's in the cabin community dialogue like to speak on?
He signed it.
Do it. All right. All right. Best part of the night, the undefeated state championship girls. Well, you guys mind standing up? Coach, introduce your team.
All right, so not everybody can make it tonight. So we have Mia, Maddie, Addison, Zay, Natalie. I was going to call her G, but I'll go Natalie, Gabby, and Rayleigh, and also Coach Weber. So, Coach Weber didn't want to stand up.
What grade are you all in?
I'm a junior.
Junior?
Senior. Sophomore.
Awesome.
Can we know what the seniors' plans are?
Yes. What's the seniors' plans for next year?
Next year I plan to go to Western Colorado University and play basketball and get a business degree.
Awesome.
Next year I plan on attending GCU with my mother's
Cool.
That's all.
Yeah. We have two other seniors that are not here tonight.
Okay.
All right, I got a question for y'all. What was probably the biggest challenge of the season? Like maybe some adversity you guys had to overcome.
performance.
Yeah, a few people gave us a run for our money, but I think we just played very well as a team together and we stuck together the whole way.
When did you start getting nervous about the perfect season?
I don't think I noticed that. No. I think that was like
My mind
Awesome.
That
Good
was
job.
really cool.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Such an accomplishment.
Thank
So,
you.
we were there. I came, I watched. For all my kids, it was fantastic. My daughter loves all of you so much. She's in third grade, so, or second grade, sorry. And she loved it, so really awesome to see you guys do that. What a great accomplishment.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming tonight. It's
Thank you for having me.
super special.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To your back, to your back. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
See you, sure.
Okay, we'll move on to staff reports. Safety and security.
See you, Dennis.
Oh, I'm ready.
Am I here for the community? Just the community?
No.
Hey, guys. Mind if I sit down?
Nope.
No disrespect, I just crowd control.
Lady release.
Hey, I don't want to waste y'all's time, but I will go pretty quick here. Just we've got a big schedule. We've had a really good year overall for us, security-wise, operational, keeping this thing going. Our new policy requires school IDs, as you've probably heard about, has really helped enhance the safety and security of this school environment here. We can't say enough about everyone just getting on board and just working together. It just really helps us maintain as best order as we can to make sure that the right people are here. That should be here for the right reasons. So I really appreciate that. The shelter in place drill, we had a good drill. I just late April. No major issues there. As always, the staff trains the teachers train these kids very well. They know what to do, and so I'm very confident that if we ever had to do that, which storming here and there, we may end up having to go there. They should be very calm and well mannered. So the other thing is we've been working. You may have heard me mention this on our PA notification communication center, which you'll be hearing a lot about here in just a bit with Mr. Jeff Lemons. Him and I have been collaborating together, working on this very important system that we feel is definitely needed, and we do have recommendations from that. So we do appreciate us having that time to review it in such a way that we're taking it very serious. And then our armed personnel completed successfully some really important, I would call emergency response and safety training. So that was here on this campus, and we worked collaboratively with Frontier Security as well. Since obviously we share a pretty close proximity. We are now preparing to bolster our radio, not walkie-talkie, radios, with some good connectivity, repeaters, additionally different programs that are finally, we're there at that frontier that we need to have that really bolster that. So that's coming up soon, and then we're evaluating continuously our CCTV surveillance stuff, cameras that we need to start figuring out how to transition to some updated, more security stuff. And then the never-ending traffic, the drop-off pickup line. Hopefully you've experienced it. I know I've seen some of you, because I've been there with my sunglasses on, right? So we really are trying to be more intentional and trying to make sure that everyone's following the process, but we're also trying to study it a little bit more in depth. We're trying to come up with maybe some tweaks here and there, some better movement plans. And we'll be doing that here for hopefully next year. As far as operations go, working with Jerry Craig, facilities manager, with Jennifer, Mr. Roach here, our kitchen design remodel coming up. We're really we're gaining momentum there, so we should have some good news there soon. And then also preparing for moving staff to new offices in new areas. There's been some good collaborative recommendations on sort of staff moving, and so we're going to be doing that. So you might hear that. That's what's going to happen in a big way. And then working collaboratively with Jeff, and kudos to Katie Jones with putting together a performance, what's called performance sound system evaluation. That's for all of our sound systems in our major areas, auditorium, performing arts area, gyms, stuff like that. We want to make sure that we're being our due diligence on making sure that we have management over it, the proper one, because we have a lot of great students here who know a lot of stuff. We're just really trying to get it more formalized, so and boost up the equipment if we can. And then we're also continually evaluating our contingencies for emergencies regarding power failures and whatnot. As you know, that can happen, it tends to happen, and so we want to make sure that we're doing everything. Jeff and I are working together, especially with the whole internet IT stuff, safety issues with technical stuff regarding that. So we're working on a lot of that. So any questions? Comments?
It's been great to see you in the drop-off line in the mornings. With your wand.
My one. I had one.
Yeah, there's one.
Did you guys hear the music? Have you heard the music yet? When you come up, have you heard the music? You need to hear the music. 7:45 Katie Jones, DJ Katie Jones, playing some music. Get some people a little bit inspired. Hey, start the day off right, some good music, and good safe driving, and good process, but now we appreciate everyone's involvement in that. Thank you. All right,
Thanks,
with
sir.
that, I'll
Thank you.
hand it over to
Thank you.
Jeff. Thank you. All right. I'm just gonna stand because I'll be over to the screen there pretty quick. So for the second grade thing, the IT presentation.
I like it.
So just to expand on what Dennis was talking about, our paging system is on its last leg. And there's some pieces of it that don't work, that it doesn't work well. It's really outdated technology. In fact, the access to it is through a web browser. It requires a very old Java version that's been just determined to be unsafe years ago. It's a way for intrusion to happen. So, and there's no fix for it. They cannot upgrade it. So with that in mind, we started looking at companies. We zeroed in on 2 manufacturers, and there's several companies that do a really good job of the safety and security side of things. There's other companies that do a pretty good job with the paging, and there's another component that we looked at, and that's classroom audio for teaching sessions, teachers speaking to their classroom, audio from videos being played, so forth. And we found this company called Audio Enhancement that has put together all of those things in a nice, easy to manage system. Dennis and I, he mentioned due diligence. And so this isn't cheap. So we spent a lot of time evaluating what we need, what this leading company had to offer. We had 3 demos from them, and we took a field trip to Poudre Schools and saw it in action, got their take on what they thought of Audio Enhancement. That's the company, and it was just high marks. And then we had a Promethean rep in presenting one of their new products, and since he had a big territory and sells to a lot of schools, I just asked him, hey, have you ever heard of Audio Enhancement? And he doesn't sell any of their products. He doesn't have any connection to it other than hearing from their customers. And he said that he just hears nothing but positive things, and there's systems just do what they say it's going to do. So I'm going to show a couple of short videos. Total will be about 3 minutes. The first one is going to address just a small fraction of what the safety side of things that Audio Enhancement does, and the other addresses the classroom audio. Oh, sorry. Not connected there.
That's why you're bringing it on.
Yeah. Is it muted? Yeah. There. There we go. That one's rolling, isn't it? Sorry about that.
How Safe System works. A teacher microphone is not just a microphone, it is also a discrete personal duress button for Safe System. A safe alert is sent by pressing and holding the buttons on each side of the teacher microphone for 3 seconds. That notification is then sent from the microphone to the receiver in the classroom. The receiver immediately transmits the alert to the front office, where a visual and audible alert will be displayed and heard through the EPIC system console. The campus map will be displayed on the console, indicating the location with a date and time from which the alert was sent. When the alert has been acknowledged by the front office, lights on the receiver will let the teacher know that the alert has been acknowledged and help is on the way. EPIC system also features an event engine that can be programmed to generate and send SMS, text, and email notifications to all relevant personnel once an alert has been sent. The message can contain the date, time, and location of the alert, and a link to view the campus map.
So like I said, it's this like tip of the iceberg of the features that are in this system. It kind of blows this away what all it does. I'll mention one other. The system has the ability to tap into a camera when there's an emergency alert, and you live stream that right on that display that you saw there. So it's just loaded with those kind of safety features. And I don't know if you noticed that Woody mentioned about a discrete notification. So, if a teacher is in trouble, it could be maybe a medical issue that they're starting to experience, or maybe there's a dangerous student, that teacher can discreetly notify that there's an emergency situation, and the teacher would have that visual acknowledgement on that receiver in the classroom that some help's on the way.
Dispersed.
The nature of the 21st century classroom is that things are moving all the time. There is no back or front of the classroom in a 21st century classroom.
We really want to make sure that we're meeting every child's needs.
The importance of kids to be able to hear anything that's happening, regardless of where they're seated or how many students they're seated with, is a really important piece.
We want loud, energetic, exciting classrooms, and you can't create those kinds of classrooms without world-class technology.
In 2013, our school board standardized and made the audio enhancement a standard to be added to any new build or any reconstruction.
When you turn the audio enhancement system on, the sound becomes a sound field all around you. You don't have to think about it, it's just in your head.
Just use my normal voice, have a normal conversation, and reach students that were far away in my classroom while still sitting in my small group and working with those students.
It's a really good amplification tool for kids, no matter where they're seated in the classroom.
Before audio enhancement, it was very easy sometimes for that child in the back or even that child in the front who's not paying attention to really miss out on some valuable instruction.
They don't have to talk at a high level. They can now feel confident that what they're saying is heard by the entire class.
Now they can actually be heard, and there's no stress in their voice or strain if they're having to speak to the students to make sure they all can hear.
Teachers get tired after they've taught for a long time, so it allows them to save their voices.
Any tool that eases some of that strain, I think, is a really important piece to add to their toolbox.
You wouldn't think that just a little bit louder or a different sound would make that big of an impact, but it definitely can.
So this goes on for another minute and a half, so we'll just stop there. That gives you an idea of what else it does. This is not what we were after, but it's a nice bonus because our classroom audio is not very good. Some of it is hard to maintain. So another benefit is if a teacher is showing a video, let's say, and a page comes through or an emergency alert, audio enhancement would actually mute the audio on the flat panel, and then so that announcement would come over the 4 speakers. And we would also use the audio of those 4 speakers that are in every classroom rather than the audio from the flat panel. So it's not like you'd have great voice, but not so good video, if that makes sense. So figures, we're actually going to ask that you approve the first phase of this. We want to do phase 1, which is going to address everything except
in classroom and hallway displays that would visually show notifications like the standard response protocol, thank you, from the I Love You Guys org. So we don't feel like we can do all of that in 1 year. So the first phase, again, it's all capabilities with audio enhancements product except for those displays, and that's $318,869. Just to give you an idea of the competitor that doesn't do anything about classroom audio and I've worked with this other system, and it's way inferior, and it requires IT input on a continual basis to do things like change a paging zone or change volume in speakers. And that quote was $303,100. It's not apples to apples because they do different things. And the other company did have digital scrolling signs included in that cost. Any questions?
What about any hard of hearing or deaf kids who might have hearing aids? How does that affect?
So the company was actually started by a mom that had 2 boys that were born deaf, and she was not satisfied with the school's solutions, so she developed, this company over a period of years, and so I do believe that they've got separate plug-in for hearing impaired that can wear a headset. We didn't look at that in a lot of detail.
I think the other thing I had was auto translate, closed caption, transcript of anything that was being said and those kind of things, so they'd hear it auditorily and also see it visually.
Right.
Because I don't know if we have many students now that, have some kind of hearing aid.
But that is what the system was initially, when it very first started, that was their focus. Was on, and I, especially for a very long time now, but used a very similar system when I was teaching, and that's what happened. It was the same way that I used for everything. They just had a different receiver that was went through the same channel. And like I said, now too, the thing about it is also the automatic translate. The student maybe run a Chromebook, or they have an app that they can run on their phone.
Translate into a different language?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that might help your parent.
Yeah, it's similar if you've ever been like on international tours and you wear the headphones while they're giving the tours. It's similar, it's much nicer, but similar kind of concept.
I don't remember how many languages they mentioned.
I don't remember if it was a lot. A lot more than we have.
In our field trip, Dennis and I got to go into a conference room that was laid out just like what a classroom would be like, and the audio was very good.
You got some significant differences in what we have now and what we're hoping to get. So first of all, we have to do something. Our PA system isn't functional from a safety perspective. The zones are broken and not able to be repaired, and some of the classroom speakers aren't looking great. So we have to do something. So when this isn't like, oh, we'd love to have this, we have to do something. The other thing that are big issues that we can't solve now, the high school is moving to a different schedule. When we have fellows, we can't currently do that. Right now, our zones, you have to do the entire school. And so elementary gets to your high, or high gets to your elementary, that's obviously ridiculous. The other thing that's great is right now we can't control anything. We have to make a service call and get people to respond to us, without impossible. And so if you remember the shot of basically the console map, you can, if you have rights to do so, click 3 rooms, record a message. It was just like you can do it absolutely live time right then. The other thing is having right now, the only way you can do that is from one phone in the main office and then put the news in the main office. And this was the same, so you could from these other places you have authority to do so. And then the other thing is our middle school, when it was built with a version of the audio enhancement, but those are starting to peak. And when we've looked at the costs to replace those, we think that's probably gonna be at least $2,500 just for the equipment, and then the installation is also really tricky. So if you multiply that 2,500 times the number of classrooms that we have, if you added that onto the other bid, and you'd be adding $75,000. So I think that there are a lot of reasons that this is a way better program, and like I said, if we have to do something, the other option we have is almost as expensive and gives us very little. So the middle school system is our starting to get their use by date, and we only have a couple classrooms in the main building that have them. The library has them, our sign language has them. I don't think there are very many other classrooms in the building that have them. And it really does. I've used it as a teacher, and I have to use it in Ashley Dawson's room, other than no shoes. I mean, it sounds like conversational tone anywhere in the room. And that's just, we want them trying to keep attention with kids, trying to have them if they aren't looking at you, some of our kids don't hear well, they have to be facing the other way, turn them all in the corner. So it has a lot of instructional things as well. And having worked in a lot of districts that has some version of a panic button or a panic app. I know working in these districts that our teachers, when we surveyed them pre and post, indicated that they felt a lot safer and needed to have that on the physical body all the time, so they knew they were always. And the other thing is with ours, it's really difficult to respond back to them, and so being able to get a really quiet visual cue that we heard you in someone's coming is a pretty good thing as well. So I think there are a lot of benefits.
The expanded response protocols, we can be recorded by any staff member, maybe Jennifer or Jeff, so that it's pre-recorded instead of a live announcement when you're panicked, and it's in their voice that the kids are familiar with.
And we can launch that not from the one phone. We can it's right in the middle of the wide open.
Yeah, if there's an incident outside and security's outside, launch from the phone app. So, pretty nice.
Can you complete phase 1 this summer?
Yes. As it's being reported back from the installer today, yes, but I'm a little skeptical. But if not, actually they didn't think the installation would take that long. They're used to doing these, and they saw it. When we were considering the timeline of doing it this spring, they thought they could get it most, if not all of it, done in 2 Mondays. While it's closed. So a lot of it's system set up, which they can do anytime, and then the physical piece of it is getting up into the ceiling and mounting the speakers and the receiver box that would go into every classroom.
We're not feeling currently there any lead time issues for.
No, so they suggested don't wait too long because we could get hit with tariffs. But they said what they have in inventory and in the pipeline is not subject to those tariffs right now. So, but they said, don't wait too long.
And this would be for both buildings?
Yes.
Sue?
And the other thing is it ties in with the cameras, the door access, one of those, but something else. So all the systems that we currently have in place, it serves as a dashboard for all of those things. Jeff mentioned it, but to be able to get a panic alert on the teacher and then to get an automatic alert of which cameras are nearby, and be able to hook up and get live feed, that's drastically better than what we currently have ability to use.
Yes, Sue.
Has
Jeff been able to convince you
The all important thing, right?
Yeah.
The capital fund, I think by this year, I'm estimating that we're still gonna have about 2.4 million in MLO dollars, and this is the perfect use for that. It'll probably be split, I don't think it's gonna be split half and half between safety and security and tech. It's probably more on the safety side than it is the tech side. So, but yeah, we've looked at the numbers and we'll have enough funds to do that.
So in the appropriate section of the meeting, we'll be asking for approval for audio enhancement. Any other questions?
The size of the microphones that the teacher will wear, is that what they do, is they wear them?
Yes, it's a lanyard mounted microphone that's adjustable, kind of like the old style Western ties. I noticed with the system, at least that we're using in this building, some of the, there's not too many teachers that are using an external microphone in this building, but when they do, they're holding it up. And this one was demonstrated with just wearing it naturally, and it picked up sound fantastic.
They're a lot lighter than the ones that I've seen in the past. In the picture at the very beginning, there's a button on it, it looks like a tiny little remote, but they're pretty light.
Yeah.
So I don't,
It's
it's like the ones we have now.
about the size of a boxer opener, or smaller. We've also hopefully, just planning ahead, greasing the skids, shortening the lead time. We know we're gonna have to run extra network cable, so we already have the bid for that, and the contractor standing by to get that done. And they should be able to, if this is approved, they should be able to keep ahead of audio enhancement installation.
And is that network part of this price, or is that
Yes.
another cost?
The network run is 36,000 the network runs.
And we're hoping to get that done before June 30, so we can put that on the shares business.
Does that get you also when you're gonna need in the future for some of the camera stuff?
No, that would be separate.
So you said this is phase one.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you looking at phase two?
So the estimate is 160,000 for phase two, and we've been working that down. One of the major expenses is a bracket for the hallway monitors. And I suggested to Audio Enhancement a different way to do it, and they liked it, and we'd be able to, that bracket is the cost of 2 of their monitors. So it's very expensive. And these aren't like a computer monitor that you go to Best Buy and purchase, they're proprietary. So,
And the two big things, we don't have to do a phase two immediately. The two things that we get with our home, are power backup, and you can't turn them off. So you don't have to worry about it. Smartboard hasn't been used, you're not going to turn it on, or if somebody had something to sleep and are asking to pick it up. Those are the two benefits you get with the screens operating independently of the system that you're working on the ceiling. And those are definitely two big benefits, but you don't have to have them immediately. So the budget continues to issue.
we can apply for a BEST grant in December. And that would be it.
The person who got us helped us with the area funding. He's got 3 BEST grants for safety and security measures, and also a DHS grant, which we got years ago. That's one of the ones that I got for the radios. So we'll definitely go after both of those.
Built a lot of brackets in my time. Got a steel fab shop. Come up with something.
Okay. We'll count on it. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll jump down to 6.3, the superintendent's update.
We're gonna spend lots of time together later, so I thought I'd just hit a few. This is definitely full-on busy time. We had so many things that have happened in the last one, and so many things in the next. So just a few things that you maybe didn't participate in. Amanda can tell you more, but we had an awesome author visit that our kids really enjoyed. That was a great experience for them. Middle school had, I think it was the second year, right? The Middle School Band Festival. I think it's the second year. But hosted that again, tons of kids here. I think that's a great opportunity for our kids, and it's nice to have lots of people here and visit us here. Clark does that on Mondays, so we can make it work. CMAS Carnival was amazing. I heard lots of elementary teachers say, I wasn't sure how, because there were lots of kids, lots of faces, and once it was done, it was, wow, that was awesome. So I'm sure Mike was talking about that, but really
I
enjoyed
actually,
part of that.
I heard a kid walking down the hallway, big kid, so he obviously CMAS. Turned to his friend and said, isn't CMAS just the best?
Whoa, little jumpy house there.
Look what it does for you.
Yeah, but that was, I know people had been missing the carnival, so I appreciate, Cora did lots of planning on that, but it took a gazillion people helping to pull off, but that was awesome. We had senior academic awards. I think we have about 134 seniors, I think there are about 107 that got awards, that close. And that was awesome. It's great to see the kids and all the many different things that they're celebrated for. I love the last couple of years we've done department awards, and those are really personal and specific, so I think they're a little bit more fun. And we've got golden calculators, we had breakfast burrito catering, we had some art ones, we had most likely to start a revolution from social studies, so there were lots of fun ones. It's awesome to celebrate our kids for not only the big things they do, like Levi getting to be a Daniel Scholar, and then like I said, all the smaller things that they do as well. A lot of that is also celebrating how great their projects and presentations were. So that was really nice tonight. We had NHS last night. Kid Roundup I got to help with. I'm sure Mike will talk more about that, but that was really fun. I got to be tour guide, and that was, it's just really nice to see again on Monday when no one had to come. All the teachers here welcoming all our incoming Bulldogs and how much fun they had. We got to go to prom this weekend. That was, I think that's my favorite thing we've ever been at. It was so nice. Amanda Pollard organized that, did an amazing job. Kids had a great time. It was very laid back. We got to spread out. Parking was right there. No floors were moving. It was great. So that was, I don't need to go back there. That was a really, really good venue. They had activities for them to do. They were doing scavenger hunts and taking pictures, but that was really nice as well. They did a great job with it. And like I said, we got a lot coming up. We got band concerts, choir concerts that we're not at. But, the other thing I wanted to mention was the elementary concerts were really great. If you had a chance to go to those. Mary did an awesome job with those. I got to go today. I was actually in town hall with a couple of your kiddos. But we went to Marytown today. That's the first time I've ever been able to go. I think that might be one of my favorite school shows. It was really, really well done. Kids had a great time. It's so organized and smooth. So, a million things going on. Field days started. Those are happening. I don't know about tomorrow, but Tuesday was beautiful. They had perfect weather. Nobody was complaining about getting wet in the afternoon. It was perfect. So enjoy as much as you can. I always tell everyone this is just the time of the year when we've got 1 to 55 things happening. We have lots of really successful sports teams that are starting their hunt or right in the middle for some hopeful deep playoff runs. So come to as many of those as you can. Like I said, we got concerts coming up the rest of this week, field days, clap outs, all the things. So keep an eye on the calendar and come to anything you can because it's a lot of fun. We have people really hard to make sure that our kids have a great time and learn a lot. So I appreciate it. Like I said, those are just a few of the highlights, but a lot going on.
Any questions for Jennifer? Great. Move on to 6.4, business managers. Got it.
Okay, our financials are in the packet. We're at 83.3% of our budget. Our revenues are at 81%. We still have some money we need to get back from District 6 under Title II and Title IV, about $45,000. capital construction didn't come in until May, so we're lacking that for April's financials. And then I also want to note that we've spent about $210,000 on concurrent enrollment this year, concurrent dual enrollment, which means our high schoolers are really taking advantage of the partnership we have with Ames. The good part about it that we won't see until June is that we've paid that tuition over, but Ames, because of the agreement with dual enrollment, they reimburse us for the teacher's cost, because we're teaching those here on campus. So I'm estimating between $170,000 and $180,000 that should be returned to us. So that's gonna help our surplus bottom line there. Let's see, I think that's all I had in revenues. Expenditures are about 80%. Those Class B materials and allocations are down a bit right now, but again, those are things that we order in April and they come in mostly in May and June, so those line items will trace up a little bit. The curriculum budget is, we're gonna wait to pay for that iReady software probably until next year. So we've got a little savings in that curriculum line item, and then we also have a little savings in the security budget. So those are percentages will kind of help cover some of the ones that are over budget right now. Let's see, what else? I guess that's it on general fund and capital fund. We've spent almost $729,000 in our mill levy savings this year. And then we've spent about $465,000 of any general fund savings that we had moved over in prior years. So you'll see at the bottom of the profit and loss for the capital fund, there's those boxes where I have beginning balances, less what we spent and where we're at right now with remaining monies in the capital fund. So, let's see. Can't read my writing. Oh dear, that's bad. Oh, remember that we put that $671,000 remaining in the general fund. Remember, we put that $125,000 in there last month for the oil and gas revenue, so those are actually designated for the kitchen remodels. We have to just be careful not to use those until that month's run. Okay. I got word today that District 6 will be sending us a check for the best grant. Oh. So that'll be, the first round is about $1.14 million. We should get that this year. I was kind of expecting that to happen next year, but we are going to get that this year. We'll get that into the capital fund to reimburse us for the roof, and then we'll have those monies to proceed with any cafeteria kitchen remodel. We can use that. So that should be coming, I would say, in the next couple of weeks. Good news. And I still have one billing to do to the best grant. I have an appointment with the rep at CDE, and that's about another $56,000 we should get. So overall, it'll be about $1.2 million we should get back. Pretty good. Wait, go.
How often can we apply for the best grant? Every
You
year?
can apply every year, but part of the cost saving measure from the state was to increase the amount of funds available that they're gonna allocate. So I don't think there will be a lot of funds available. So Laura's willing to work with us a little bit on a little bit of an attorney basis, right? If you win, I take clear cut, so we're not going to try again.
And the $160,000 for phase 2 of the audio enhancements would be a perfect. It would be a perfect way to. I mean, it's not a huge amount of money, and so we might be able to build down for those grants if we get it, if we apply it. So that's our plan. That's all I have.
Right. Any pursuit? Thank you, Sue. We will move on to principal's update. Mr. Mazzarano?
So, quick story when I did getting set up. Talking to my dad about the girls' basketball team this year. I'm like, they're phenomenal. We've got to go see them. Just never worked out. Finally, we found out they were in the state championship. We made it all the way. Brought my dad. My dad and I were sitting there we both had the realization that in 1985, we were both sitting there watching my sisters play for a state title, which they lost, because that was our first one.
First
So
one?
40 years almost to the date, my dad and I were both back in that Denver Coliseum, which smelled much better this time. I remember it used to be really close to the stock show, and it smelled terrible in those days. But yeah, that was a pretty cool moment to be sitting there with my dad. The last time he and I were in there for a state title game was watching my sisters. They unfortunately got beat by Lutheran, but that was a bunch of fun for me and I to watch that game this year. So we had a really good time reminiscing about all that. Yeah, incredible amount of stuff going on in elementary. We put together kind of a slide video to show kind of everything that's going on. In this slide video show, you're going to see CMAS Carnival. Of course, we used to have the end of the year carnival, which for a couple different reasons was just hard to maintain at its current way. And then, as everyone knows, when Cora says, we're going to figure out how to get the carnival back, that's what happens. Carnival came back for CMAS, and Carol shared that story with me during CMAS Carnival, and she said, I just had the kids say, isn't CMAS awesome? And so I ran with that, and we had a later afternoon, we weren't doing Carnival, but we were doing video of a book we had already read. We were doing Mouse and the Motorcycle, which was our school book. And I told the first K to second graders, I said, today was made possible because all those third, fourth, and fifth graders worked so hard that they earned you this. And those kids just burst into applause and they're so happy. So I think they really see the importance of working hard and doing your best. And so that was I really enjoyed that comment. Lots of concerts going on you'll see in here. Yeah, they keep evolving. I think when I got here it was a choir concert, and it's turned into playing instruments, it's turned into movement, it's turned into having speaking parts. It's really evolved into a music program, which is what we've talked about for a long time. Field days are happening. Yesterday's was super hot. Today was perfect, and tomorrow it is pouring rain, by the way.
It is.
So we'll see how that all works out. Kindergarten roundup is going on. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, they did.
Kindergarten roundup happened. It used to be 3 different parts. So there would be kind of come in and learn who the staff are. There was a part where we would come in and give a tour, and then there was a part where we would assess the students. So we put all 3 together. And last year was our first time doing it, and we did a pretty good job. But Dennis and I and the counselor said the same thing to 37 different groups that came through. We said the same thing, or we tried to say the same thing. We were so delirious. This year, it was super smart to record a video. So we just pressed play, they got all the information, they had a chance to give us feedback, but lots of really good feedback this year on how that went. So we have a second one coming up here, but for the most part, the year is winding down, but really ramping up. There's so much going on right now that it's hard to keep up with all of it, but pretty much our kids look like that most of the time during the day, because they're either going to see some cool stuff. And I know I've talked about field trips before, and I think some people question, like, why are we going to these things? Is the cost worth the money? And I was talking to somebody who said their child was going to Washington, D.C. And I said, the difference between reading about Washington, D.C. and being in Washington, D.C. is not comparable. And that is really the idea of when we go to these places. We can read about it, we can be told about it by somebody, but when you're actually there at a museum, when you're actually there at Marytown, when you're actually there at the Poudre Learning Center, it's just not comparable. It's a totally different experience, and that's what we're going for. So we have gone on a couple of those field trips this week, and next week, and the week before. And those will be the things kids will talk about for decades. But we have a short video. David did a wonderful job putting this all together on short notice. We had some fun with the music choices, but he probably picked something fun.
Oh, of course it doesn't get to that.
So yeah, lots going on in the elementary, and I think I'll end it on, as you know, being board members and volunteering and putting in all the work. Everything you just saw is somebody in this school putting in a massive amount of hours to make sure it's planned, it's organized, it's done. They had all those things. Just Field Day today is, of course, high school kids coming down to volunteer, middle school kids coming down to volunteer, all the stuff put out early in the morning. So all those things, as you know, take an incredible amount of person power. And this school really has done a nice job rallying behind what we value, and having some experiences for kids is certainly what we value. And that doesn't happen everywhere, as most of us know. That's super unique what you just saw, because that's teacher driven. Most of that is teacher and staff driven. When did that order switch? When did it switch back to the other order?
I think David's been messing with us. Yes, it's been all over the place.
David's
Last couple of weeks.
keeps us on, never more.
Oh, what day is the 5th grade class?
That'll be the last day of school, so it's the 30th at 10:45. I think we get out at 11 that day, so it'd be around 10:45 would be that clap out.
Eighth grade
That's-
is 10:55.
10:55.
For eighth grade.
And then what was 5th grade?
10:45.
Seniors are this Friday, right?
Then 10:55 for 8th.
Next Friday, yeah.
it's really awesome. They get super embarrassed, so. It's really cool, but from home, so. See, our kids were very embarrassed, so. Shut up for all that, that's great. Okay. Anything from Ms. Mazzarano?
That's it.
All right. Any questions, anybody? Great. Thank you, Mr. Ram, appreciate it. We will move on to items for discussion. 7.1, the consent agenda, and there's personnel. Take a second to review that.
There's not enough water around to knock on, but I would like to cautiously note that we've only hired 6 spots, not counting coaches. And we're typically at about 15 the last couple of years. So we're really happy with how few people are leaving, and we're really happy with people on this list. We're getting 100% first choices on things. We're really benefiting from taking all our years, from some of the other places doing cuts. We've picked up some really great candidates. So surprises always happen in the summer, but compared to what we usually are this time of year, this is usually a long list.
I know, I keep telling Lucy, it's gonna get busy, it's gonna get busy.
No, don't. So I hope it stays just like that, because this is by far the best spring we've had. I think any tribe done here, so.
Great. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. All right, we'll move to item 7.2. Security and classroom audio upgrades. We'll be voting to approve the 300 phase 1. 315,000.
And which budget is that coming out of?
So that's gonna come out of capital, MLO funding. So if you look at, well, if you wanna move to the capital budget, that's the pink one in the packet. You'll see that I put about 2.4 million of expenditures in there, and it's basically everything that we've got in there. I'm having to appropriate in case we need to spend it. Doesn't mean we're gonna spend it, but in case we need to spend it. So.
I'll move to approve the security and classroom audio upgrade phase 1.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we'll move to 7.3, budget adoption.
Okay, well, let's try and get through this. Got 3 colors there, yellow, pink, and blue. The yellow one is the general fund, the pink one is the capital fund, the blue one is the special revenue fund, which is our activities fund. We're gonna start with the general fund. Tonight we're gonna ask you to approve column 3 on the left over under proposed budget 2025-2026. The one to the right of that is just for presentation only, to show you what the purchase services costs from District 6 are. And then the far right column, for those of you who haven't sat through this before, is just a reference number. So if I say line 5, you'll be looking for that line to the right. Okay, we start with the student number on line 5. That's going to hold steady. We're happy about that, hopefully. Line 6 is what the spreadsheets are showing as of yesterday, that our per pupil funding will be next year. It's a 2.87% increase from the actual funding that we got this year. We estimated in our budget last year it would be 11,344-ish. It ended up 11,406, so it's about 2.87 increase overall. Line 7, unfortunately, that line went down. It's, and the levy funding has just gone down. The taxes are not coming in, I think, is the way that works. Line 8, we're gonna get a little more special education reimbursement. And then line 9, 10, 11, and 12 are what we're gonna or what we're paying for those services that we're purchasing. And I received an email from Megan Sponsler about a week after I sent the original budget out to you. And so I got these numbers directly from her also. And I think the reason why is because line 12, I've been talking about the $1,550 per student all year for special ed. It actually came in at $1,580, almost $1,581. So it's even more than what she was anticipating. And on top of that, mill levy funding went down. She tried to estimate it at $1,120 for us, but it actually was only at $1,073. So she actually sent me an email about that because she knows that that's going to be a significant cost to the school to reimburse for those expenses and the lack of staff funding. So I went ahead and adjusted all those numbers according to her email. So that's different from what I sent you out with the letter. Let's see. Line 15, I've dropped that investment interest a little bit. We're probably going to use some of our savings. Line 22 is an increase in our general fee from 70 per student to 100 per student. And line 24 includes a facilities grant that we wrote we should get about $238,000. That should help us also with, same like capital construction, it'll help us with our rents, basically our rent, our bond payment, and so forth. So those are all the significant changes in the revenue. Expenditures, line 33, gives the faculty their step increase at 2.1%, and other admin, professional, technical, and classified, the same percentage, 2.1. Line 36, the sub-pay will remain the same, and we have projected about a 0.5% increase in the employer contribution to para, along with increases in the workers' comp and unemployment insurance costs. Those costs go up as salaries go up. It's just the way it's calculated. Lines 48 and 49, we're going to remove paying for field trips and school supplies from the mill levy funding, since that funding has gone down. So we'll have to have parents start contributing to those again. And in line 53, we dropped the PD budget a little bit. Admin isn't going to go to case this year, so that should save us a little bit of money in professional development. Okay, so line 55, when I sent the budget out to you before, that number was $289,000. That was what I felt we were going to have to pay the district back next year for special education. Since then, since the email came from Megan, I recalculated that based on the actual number she's telling me and the drop in mill levy funding. That number would have been about $356,000. That would have put us in a pretty deficit position for next year. So we're going to have a surplus this year. Thinking about $450,000, and rather than doing a payout to staff, I've asked Megan to withhold $180,000 from our main wire. $100,000 will go to special ed, $80,000 will go to returning money to mill levy, and so the difference in that is this line 55, $176,000. So that should relieve some of the pressure from the budget next year for reimbursement that we're going to pay this year. Line 56, that's technology. Again, because those mill levy dollars went down, we're going to have to pay a lot of our technology out of capital next year. So that's going to be a one-time thing. That's going to be 1 year, and then next year we're going to have to put that money back in there because it's minimum of $350,000 now for our technology every year. So that's going to have to go back up next year. But for the following year, 26, 27. So next year, we'll drop it a little bit. We'll see where the mill levy funding comes out. We'll see what we can do to adjust other figures. But that's where we stand right now for that. Other than that, I think the only other line that I really significantly changed was line 74 for safety and security. Talked to Dennis a little bit. He isn't going to have significant costs other than the EPIC, or the audio enhancement cost that we're gonna pay for capital. So we were able to drop that to about $90,000. And again, if we have to adjust that in 26, 27, that's what we'll have to do, but I think we can get by with that this year.
Sue, on the line 71, do we get a bid for the custodial services?
We do.
And is that why the difference?
Yeah, so
Even
I think
higher?
she gave us a $318,000 bid this year. I put it at $320 because this year, we're already over budget from what she projected last year. We're at like 292 and she gave me a bid for 285. So it's just cost of living, it's going up, she's doing her best to project, so we'll see. We've also kind of done an analysis, Jennifer and I did quickly in our brains about what it would cost to hire some custodial staff, what their salary would be, plus benefits. The benefits are just so expensive that we're still kind of under the threshold of contracting it out, but we'll keep that in mind if we think we can maybe do it in-house a little bit cheaper.
Are there any other side benefits though of having custodial staff on staff? We have a lot of students in the building after hours and doing things, having other custodial staff that are, eyes and ears in the building. There's non-financial reasons why that might be a good idea.
I don't think
I mean, I think we treat them very much and react very much. It's like
our staff.
District 6 special ed staff, right? I don't think anyone realizes they're not our staff.
Okay.
We have them. So I think they consider that they work here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. We really try to make everything inclusive of what we do here, so. I think if there was something seriously wrong, somebody would say something. Yeah. So.
For the having parents pay for supplies and field trips again, is there any plan for people who may not be able to fully afford all of that? Because I've never, for our kids' age, we've never had to buy the supplies or the field trip. So for some people, I think it could come as a shock, especially when we've got like 4 to 6 field trips in a month. Which I love the field trips, by the way. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I personally wouldn't have a problem contributing to that, but I can see some people now this being it'll be a sting. They don't know the old way.
So for the fee increase, for students who are certified for free and reduced lunch, their fees are waived. So it won't impact them in that way. I've had conversations already with the foundation. Brian and Tim Conlon and I met the other day to talk about, we all feel like it's a fairly realistic goal to try to raise the money to cover those field trips so that we don't have to ask families to pay for them. I told them 25. Sue, when we looked at the budget this year, it was more like 15. So I think we're hoping that that's a realistic amount for the foundation to raise so that we don't have to pass on the expense to parents.
We also have for field trips youth help, which Mike facilitates, and we've gotten, thousands of dollars from them over the years. And we're still using it. I have about $600 left in that fund, and when a student can't pay or if the check bounces and it comes back, we just pull the money from that youth help and put it into the field trip area. We just cover it because there are people that can't pay. So we have those funds, and we'll probably request some more this year. We haven't done it in a couple of years now. So.
I think the other thing we used to do way back in the day, Mike, you probably remember this better than I would, but I think way back in the day we used to give parents an opportunity when they paid. One of the options was to pay for someone else if they were able. And I think using Parent Square type of automatic payment would make that easy if we have parents who were able to do that occasionally too. Yeah. But we're hopeful, like I said. I think if the foundation feels like that's a reasonable goal for them to try to raise, so I think we're hopeful we can take care of the field trip part of it, and then like I said, if you can't afford your fees, it takes care of that part of it, so then all that would be left would be the supplies, which is still a thing for sure.
Funding. Okay, so moving on to the capital fund, I kind of said a little bit about that one, basically. That is, I put that in the revenue area, we put that BEST grant in there, I wasn't sure exactly when we were going to get those funds, so I'll already have to do a revision in January to pull that out. But it's okay, the money will be there. Again, the projected balance for mill levy at the end of this year, I'm about 2.4 million. I plugged that whole amount in for expenditures in case we need it. The BEST grant money, 1.2 million if we do the cafeteria project, and then another 1.5 million for capital outlay. So again, it's one of those things where I'm just having you appropriate all the money in case we need it. It doesn't mean we're gonna spend it, it just means it's there. So that's what the capital account looks like. The special revenue fund is pretty much the same concept. Fundraisers are fundraisers, they can do a fundraiser for 3 years and collect, $10,000 because they're going on a trip. And so what we do with this budget is we have you appropriate the expenditure of any current revenue that we get in that year, plus payment out of all the money that they've collected over the years or fundraised over the years. So in case you have to send a person to New York or a group of people and it costs $30,000 and they have it in there from years past, then we can spend that. So the whole idea is that we're just saying if every activity wants to spend their money, then we have it appropriated for them to do so. That's what it means. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. It just means it's appropriated. Okay, that's all I have. Did I clearly explain the special ed and that reconciliation number for you? That's just really hard to sometimes process. It's one of those things where we're paying for it in this year, but we don't get charged for it until the next year. And so if.
And paying it based on our best guesstimates.
Yeah,
but we have to
yes.
then pay on what it actually turned out to.
Yeah, so I'm thankful that Megan sent me the email because now I processed how we were gonna get that paid back without a big hit to our budget next year, so keep my fingers crossed.
Then I will,
I have some motions I can make.
oh,
If
you're
you're ready.
Yes.
I'm gonna do this in, separately. I move that we approve the proposed gross budget for the general fund as presented to the board for the 25-26 school year, including a provision that if a one-time non-performance-based payment is made to staff at the end of the fiscal year, which is dependent upon budgetary standing, the payment shall not be considered, I don't know what this word is, includable salary as defined by Colorado Para, and shall meet the following criteria. 1, payment is in no way to consider a bonus, but rather a payment in lieu of permanent salary increase. 2, the payment shall be a flat dollar amount or a flat percentage to all employees in a particular class without regard to length of service. And 3, the payment in no way is designed to manipulate highest average salary. I move.
Then I'll second it.
Was that what you were
It was. Maybe it was a few less words.
So I should clarify that because AJ's looking at you going, what are you reading? So Para has very specific rules about if we do bonuses to people, they have to be pre-approved at budget time for the next year. So if you want to include that in salary so they can get their retirement calculated on it, you have to have all that language in there. So every year we approve a budget with that language so that if we choose to pay that as a one-time pay, it can get included the following year. Most of the time, they never respond fast enough for us to do that. We always have to pay it as bonus, and so it never gets included. But that's what that language is about.
And District 6 got into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
With doing it.
So there you go, sorry.
Thanks.
All right, there's an emotion on the floor.
Right.
I will second.
Second, Eric. Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Now I would like to move that we approve the capital fund budget for the 25-26 fiscal year as presented to the board. I move it.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
All right, now I'd like to move that we approve the special revenue fund budget for the 25-26 fiscal year as presented to the board.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Now I'd like to move that any surplus in the general fund in excess of the 15% allowed by law be transferred to the capital fund.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries.
Very well spoken, Carol.
Thank you,
I
Carol.
did it. Did I make you do that last year?
I don't know.
think so.
Well, it's because I came in and had all my questions for
2
you.
years in a row you came to see me.
Yeah, teach me to come ask questions.
I had a special meeting and asked them, so.
Oh, okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Board. I'll get working on contracts.
Thank you, Sue. Okay, we'll move on to board reports and communication. 8.1, the chairman update. I really don't have anything. The Maritime field trip was today. I know my son had a lot of fun with that. My wife was there, and it sounded like she had equally as much fun. So it was a really interactive field trip for them. I know that they really enjoyed it. It seemed like all the kids enjoyed it too. So quite a few pictures of that. We have quite a few state qualifiers for track, right? That's pretty exciting.
50 or 20.
20. That's this weekend?
Yeah.
This month? Okay. That's exciting. So, yeah, we'll get to see how they do. So wish them good luck here. And that's all I have. So we can start with you over there, AJ.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff, all the concerts, field day, field trips, been a lot of fun. I did feel it was beneficial to participate in the budget committee meetings. Glad I was able to participate in those and learn a lot more about all the work that goes into it. I know that there has been a lot of work into getting things done on it this year, even with the challenges that we're faced with. So I appreciated that opportunity. And the board election stuff, I liked the forum and the videos and all that again. And I think one of the topics I heard discussed at the forum, which has been discussed, I think last year when I ran as well, but is, the communication. And I think we've seen a pretty big improvement in communication, or at least ways to communicate with parents that are more consistent. But I think based on the public attendance at the forum and I think the number of video views and the number of votes, I think the next step is what is the expectation to engage in anything? People get the communication, but I think as a board or as a school, we need to look at what is that next step rather than just give the people information. What do they do with it? I think the forum video had like 80 views, maybe the other video had 150, and then we had 220, 240 something votes. So pretty low participation. So that was just some thoughts I had there. And then kind of reflecting back on the school year and looking at the book and some of these, some of the documents I was given here, is a couple other comments I wanted to make is that, as board members, we're entrusted with a set of responsibilities, and not just to ensure effective governance, but to act in the best interest of our students and uphold the values that define this school. And when I joined the board, and everyone joined the board, we agreed to make decisions that were student first, to bring forward concerns when needed, and to engage with one another respectfully, even when we disagreed. And as part of that commitment, when I was looking at this, I saw a couple of these values that I think are especially important to highlight. Number 4, understanding our students and how they learn develops relationships that support students' emotional and academic well-being. Number 6, in creating a safe environment where students engage in learning and positive social interactions. So these aren't just words, these are guiding principles. And we have a lot of values on this list, but these are the ones that I feel possibly at risk of losing sight of if we're not intentional with the way that we lead. If we lose sight of values in moments like this, when it's uncomfortable and it's easy to stay quiet, then we're not honoring the reason that we're sitting at this table. If we say we are student first, we must be student first in everything that we do. That's it for me.
It's a good one to follow. I guess 2 things I had on my mind is, do we have kitchen plans?
Oh, yes.
And maybe that further on. But.
We did get that narrowed down, and with the district kitchen consultants as well. We've had a handful of meetings and conference calls, and so now we are just waiting on the final design for the dishwashing area. And I believe the dentist who just stepped out, but has already ordered or is very close to ordering the refrigeration system. And so we got the kitchen plan defined. They're gonna order that equipment that has the longest lead time. We'll get the remodel work done within the kitchen itself this summer, and then those refrigeration units actually sit on the outside of the building. And so, and they're accessed through an existing door.
So we could anticipate this kitchen remodel will be done this year, or is this a phase 1, phase 2?
Phase 1 will be done this summer. Phase 2 will start later this year. I don't think we wouldn't have final building this year, I wouldn't say. Calendar year.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other just feedback I got was it was pretty hot yesterday at field day on that AstroTurf. And is there a possibility that that field day could be moved to the practice field so that it's not quite so hot on their feet? Or just a thought for next year?
I will say that I heard about the slip and slide, and that was a big deal.
That's what I was just gonna say, slip and slide.
So, either way, we gotta figure out the slip and slide. There's gotta be a way we can anchor it down, Mr. M.
Noted.
Well, somebody said it just was pretty hot and they couldn't keep shoes on and their feet were burning and, so it just, food for thought. Of course, it's better, you can toss up, it can be 90 degrees or it can be 50 degrees, so. But those were just 2 items.
Okay. I don't have a whole lot. We just finished another internship. Great young student, did a kind of material sciences exploration and got to work with some casting and some vacuum forming and some 3D printing and solve some problems that a number of other students hadn't been able to solve yet. So I was real good. Yeah, other than that, it's kind of this end of year rush with everybody to get through all the things, get ready for all the big tests, and so that's just been kind of a household thing that's been both fun and a challenge. And so.
All right, I'll report on MTSS meeting today. We're talking a lot this year about attendance, the importance of attendance, how not attending, how negatively that affects our students. It's been a little eye-opening for me, which is good. I think today we actually made some plans and I felt like we were finally moving forward in some action items that can be taken to increase awareness of the importance of attendance and encourage people to come and encourage parents to get their kids there and encourage kids to want to be there. So happy to report there's some progress there. We should see some things coming out in the summer and early next year to boost our attendance and decrease absences. So it's good.
Not a whole lot for me, just again, with this being my first kind of year here, got to experience exit interviews with my 8th grader, which is bittersweet. Yeah, it was kind of a super, it was sad, yeah, but that was very exciting. The concerts, got to go to some of those. I have a 6th grader, so the country fair. So very busy week last week. There's 3. All of those things happened last week. So, but just really cool to see all that, seeing all the kids' presentations. So that was pretty exciting. I also just want to thank all of you guys for welcoming me, because this was probably my last meeting, because I will be on vacation in June. So thanks for.
Thank you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, learned a lot. So appreciate everybody helping get me up to speed. So that's it.
We had prom last weekend. That seemed to go really well, and from what I heard, a lot of folks and a lot of the kids enjoyed it, and I thought it was a good job. I would also like to mention, with like graduation coming, this is actually my first group of students that went all the way from freshman to senior for coaching, and so a lot of those kids are graduating now, and actually one of the gals on the basketball team was a girl that I coached years ago, and a lot of them are expressing like the anxiety. Obviously, I'm sure the teachers all know this stuff, but the anxiety of like this change, and so I just ask everyone to stay kind of vigilant in that and kind of communicating with them, but not. It feels like it's almost like a pressure when you're like, hey, so what are you gonna do next? And some kids are like all over that, and then some are kind of like, oh my gosh, stop asking me this, or I don't know, and it's so stressful. So, but I think it's important for us to kind of keep an eye on some of that stuff. And then kind of to talk about the election stuff that happened, I think it might be good, and maybe we can address this later, is to see what the engagement breakdown is as far as parents and faculty. Because I'd be really curious to see where those numbers came, just for a general perspective of like, so we can focus our efforts for engagement in certain areas. And I think it's probably parents that we need to focus, but I think it'd be good to know maybe what are we top heavy in one area or not. Thank you.
I am going to talk to the camera, and I'm going to shout out our middle school student who tells me he watches all the board meetings. If he makes it this far, he needs to come see me, and I will have something for him. I like it.
Love it.
And hopefully a potential student maybe as a rep. You never know. Is this interested right now?
We're gonna need an update next meeting.
Yeah. All right. Do we need to do graduation attendance, like of who's gonna go? Do we usually like have something where we? Okay. All right. Because people bring up graduation, I'm like, oh, I haven't said anybody we're going, if I'm going or not. So.
What time is graduation?
7.
7.
And that's on a Saturday? Is that right? Maybe
7 p.m.
30.
At 8. Not here. Don't come here.
Oh, 31st.
31st.
Don't come here.
Okay.
That's
And that is all
seems late.
I have, except it's just really busy and a lot of fun right now. So there you go.
No, absolutely busy. I'm approaching a lot of things. My kids' exit interviews not until next week, so we're still doing that. Ran down for choir and they switched the order, and so I'm like, oh! So I'm back. So we'll see if we make it or not. But anyway, yeah, just lots of busyness. Foundation report, like Jennifer mentioned, we're getting our board. We actually have a meeting next week to kind of bring everybody back together again, and just kind of start trying to make some more plans. I think we're confident that we should be able to help raise some of that money that's needed for like field trips and stuff like that. So definitely something that's on our radar, and we're going to be working hard to fill. I think it's just one of those things that as a foundation at some point we're just kind of really need to step up, knowing that where funding is going, that's going to need to be a focus here to try to just figure out how we're going to fund things going forward to that time. So yeah, so anyway, so that's what we're up to.
Great. Eric, did you have anything for joint use?
No, nothing new on joint use.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, we'll move on. Future business. Any items anybody would like to have for future business? Okay. Our next meeting is June 11th. Same time and place. So
And if you all don't mind taking a look at your calendars, one of our new board members is going to be out of town internationally almost all of July. And so he requested we could take a look at doing about first week of July. And I think we ended up doing that last year.
You had conflict.
What day did you say?
If we could try to do it that first week of July, if there's any time there that would work for you guys. I think he leaves like that 7th or 8th and it's on.
I think the 4th is on a Friday.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I know that's not, I believe last year we had to do the same thing, so I just wanted to.
That would be July 2nd he's looking at?
July 2nd would be the Wednesday, or he's in town and it'll be that week. Like I said, he'll be gone the rest of the month, and I don't think it's great for a new board member to miss all the reorganization and meetings and stuff. It doesn't seem great.
I would be able to attend this meeting.
Could you,
Yeah, we'll be, all counts out.
And I won't be here, I'll be in Nebraska for reason. I might not be here in June also. I would have to but
let's make it a record-setting meeting. then.
hopefully, you'll have quorum.
Do we wanna combine June and July?
So just not have.
Have like the end of June, not do it June?
Do you have personnel that would need to get approved?
We hope not.
Could do a, could do a quick virtual meeting, I guess, if needed.
Right.
If we were looking at just not doing one, if there was like personnel.
Well, and there's not any reason that personnel can't do another one without way, because they're required not
Well, okay, exactly.
here.
So maybe push to like June 25th?
Well, could we technically have the new members start in June though? Do we do it last year with me?
Yeah, we could.
Or since they were at a regular election, the bylaws state after
It's
July
the
1st.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we gotta do.
I can do the first or second of July.
I can do the first or the second.
I can even do, well, I should.
I could do the first, I don't know, haven't determined yet if we're gonna be in town for the second.
Either could work for me as well.
I'm determined on that.
Should we also check with the other new board member? Whichever one is not on vacation in Europe.
We can try to track that down and then just vote on it. We won't have to have the next, are we gonna have the June meeting, or are we going
I
to
guess
just one
that's the
single?
question.
And if we're missing 3,
Yeah.
do we still have, we still
What's
have
it-
quorum?
What's the
Or would we-
quorum?
2/3. So,
I can make
So we would need 7 then?
we usually say 6.
6 is fine? Round down?
You're gonna have a white body here.
I'm fine with having, skip the next meeting, unless we wanna just have a regular meeting. That's what we're saying, right? We just have to have 6 for the regular meeting? For the June?
I think so.
Okay.
You just can't vote on anything, right? I don't think you can vote, you can have a meeting, right?
Well, if you have
Well, if you've got a
If you quorum, you can vote, but if
Yeah.
you don't have a quorum, you just have to have a meeting.
It'd be more like a work session.
Yeah, not like a work session.
What's on the agenda for that June meeting? Do we know? What do we normally talk about? Can we just combine it?
Yeah.
With July?
I think it would be fine to just do July 1st. That's a busy time of year when everyone's gone. Last year. We recognized champs. And the only item action was the one-time payout, and we already decided we're not doing that, so.
All right, let's just do July meeting.
And we're gonna do July 1. Oh, you're gonna talk to the other new member?
Yeah, I can ask them to
Yes.
July.
Shoot for July 1st.
Yeah.
As long as everything aligns, then we can send out an update. Or, okay, great, all right. So, the next regular meeting will be tentatively July 1st.
And I keep passing that to you.
Okay. All right. Anything further? Okay, we'll jump to item 11, convene an executive session. I move that the Board of Governors convene an executive session pursuant to C.R.S. 24-6-402 4F for purposes of discussing personnel regarding superintendent's evaluation.
I second.
All those in favor?